Hey everybody, my name is Chris Lambert, and this is the Kanye West News Roundup for May 8th, 2018, presented by Watching the Throne, the #1 Kanye West podcast. Our new episode, Our new episode on Wolves just came out a few hours ago. It's available on YouTube if you want to listen to it there. There's no images with it, but also on iTunes, Spotify, all of that. It's 2 hours long. It's a hefty one, but you will never listen to Wolves the same way again. I guarantee that. It will change how you think about the song fundamentally. So I hope you check it out. And, I'm teasing a little bit there about one of the articles. Just a reminder that the Yeezus book is available for pre-order, getting ever closer to it coming out, and the 5-year anniversary of Yeezus. This is going to be a tremendous collector's item that puts together the work of Travis and I, Martin Connor from Rap Analysis, and Donald Martin, who runs the Most Unruly YouTube channel. So you're getting work from 4 experts when it comes to Kanye, all putting their little Kanye-filled brains together to put together a scholarly coffee table book, the likes of which has never been seen before. So I'm excited about that. So as you probably saw already, there's been an update with the Crips. They're no longer trying to attack Kanye. Whatever the call that Daz Dillinger put out, extinguished. And I don't know if this is a true source or not, but it says Ye was never in any true risk of danger. They say gang leadership wasn't looking to fight Kanye in actuality. They want Ye to visit Long Beach in order to get his support for the community. So that's nice to know that we don't have to sit there worrying about whether or not Kanye is going to get jumped and beat up someday by some random, really inspired Crip. So good. And I don't know if they get to him right now. Anyway, as he's still in Wyoming, he missed the Met Gala last night. Kim Kardashian went alone because Kanye was in Wyoming, as she tweeted out, finishing up 5 albums. So he's in the last stretch of everything. And I should have looked beforehand if John Legend's out there this time. I know he had said in an interview before that he hadn't been out to Wyoming yet, but was hoping to get out there soon. And this is the first time Kanye's been back since then. With all the political stuff involving Kanye right now, I don't know if John is still wanting to go out there and be part of the album, if he's saying yo, I'm not gonna be part of this until you come back onto our side of things. I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. So a few articles just to get into, because there hasn't been much in the way of Kanye news. It's still reactions to last week, and they're still as annoying as ever, but we have some hope with the Talib Kweli interview. But there's a new debate that's been going on, and that's in the wake of Saturday, the release of Donald Glover's This Is America music video, which is pretty stellar. It features Donald Glover getting at 2 different dichotomies. One's a very gospel-y, traditionally black soul sample that comes in that's a soaring, gorgeous music, very upbeat, and that is undercut then by this dark, brooding, driving, Yeezus-esque sound. And Glover kind of has these, it's not musical, what he's saying. It's really kind of bleak, dry statements about America and this darkness, and it involves him shooting people. It involves a lot of commentary about the dynamic between American consumerism and our quick to forget when it comes to tragedies, and then how the tragedies and violence keeps happening. Great statement. Ends with him running away, just being chased. And some people have posited that it's Glover Gambino being chased by white people. But from what I've seen of the video, I've watched it a couple times, it just seems to be people running. Like, you can see other people that aren't whites running. And to me, it's not that he's being chased by white America, but it's just like, you don't know if he's being chased or part of a crowd that's running for their lives. And I think that's part of the dynamic. It's just everybody's running, and you don't know if like the people around you are running to get you or if they're running to escape something as well. It's an amazing song, and but you know, I don't think it's amazing music in the same way that I don't think Ye versus the People is amazing music, but I think it's a very impressive song for what it's getting at, despite whether you agree or disagree with what Kanye is saying, with what T.I. is saying. I think the fact that they're putting this political discussion into music, and it's not like a radio hit song. It's not a song that you're going to put on at a party, but they're using the art for the commentary and the discussion, which is such an important part of art. And that music for so many years has been relegated to commercialism, that it's lost its political edge, that it's lost its artistic edge beyond consumption. That now, in this day and age, it's starting to get political again. It's starting to be meaningful because it's not just listenable and mainstream and fun, but because it has meaning that resonates with us. That's really cool to me. Like, that's the kind of shit that I fuck with. And hearing like the Glover song do that, and I feel the same way about To Pimp a Butterfly. I don't find the production on To Pimp a Butterfly particularly interesting, especially the mid portion of the album. The first 3 songs, hell yeah, and the last part of the album, Blacker the Berry, of course, but it's not Good Kid, Mad City when it comes to like mainstream beats. But the artistic commentary and the artistic depth that it has is really awesome, and that's what makes the album listenable to me. Same thing with Damn, though I find Damn a bit more musically fascinating than I do To Pimp a Butterfly. And Yeezus to me is the best of both worlds. You get the political commentary and the depth and the critique of American culture, but it's done sonically in a way that's just like, whew, whew. So This Is America is in that vein to me, where it's just like, yo, this isn't necessarily something I just want to put on when I'm sitting on the airplane or like driving in my car, because I just want to like groove out to something. But it's something I want to put on because it makes me feel shit, right? And it makes me like think, and it gets at something that like words don't quite get at, that it could take me 8 minutes of talking to get to the point that this 4-minute song gets to. So this article by Danny DiPlacido gets into the contrast between Donald Glover and Kanye West, which is something that people have been talking about. This song comes out and they're like, Donald Glover is the genius that Kanye wishes he was. And I've admired Donald Glover as an artist for a long time, but I feel like we're now starting to force this... force him into this artistic heights that he hadn't previously reached. Like, you look at Gambino's discography, and there's some highlights for sure, but it doesn't compare to the artistic heights of Kanye's discography. So one song that Gambino has released doesn't quite compare, I don't think. Am I crazy to feel that way? That the one song and the one music video makes him immediately the better artist over Kanye's 7 albums and music videos and career? I don't think so. So I get the admiration for what Glover has done with Atlanta, This Is America, and how he's currently positioned himself as an artist commenting on Black culture in America today, and he's done a great job of that. But I don't know if his work is like above and beyond whatever Kanye West has like attempted to do with his entire career. It's just hyperbole based on the talking points of the moment, right? If this was just not, if Kanye wasn't such a lightning rod at this point for his comments, then this conversation wouldn't be one that's happening, which is why I find this conversation just boring, because it's not based on anything other than the manufacturedness of the time and place. One line that I want to point out, Glover sees an America in crisis, at war with itself, and paints the media as an addictive painkiller that serves to numb the public into apathy. By acknowledging his own role as content creator extraordinaire, Glover boldly condemns himself as part of the problem. Great. That is, yes. It's certainly a stark contrast, oh no, to West, known for bathing in the glow of his own self-proclaimed genius. Think of the last few conversations you've heard or participated in regarding Kanye West and compare them to those discussing Donald Glover. I doubt they had quite the same tone. While West deliberately poisons the dialogue, sparking arguments to keep his name on our tongues, Glover tries to steer the national conversation in a constructive direction, relying on his talent rather than his Twitter handle. And, like, I'm happy Donald Glover's here in his music, that he's making a song like This Is America. But what he's talking about here with Glover tries to steer the national conversation, Kanye was doing that all the way back with All Falls Down. He did it with Yeezus. Like, Yeezus was critiquing American culture and consumerism, and how consumerism has us like putting on the blinders over the other shit that's going on in the world, and that we're just the new slaves based on materialism and consumerism and that kind of distraction from things. And the same thing happens with celebrity. You get caught up in the celebrity life, and it takes you away from all the things that would actually make you happy, that are actually meaningful. It's a giant critique of America that echoes what Kendrick then did, or Kendrick echoes that on To Pimp a Butterfly, but gets more, I feel like Kanye was very general and picked specific moments. Kendrick blows it up in a much more epic and literary way. I feel like Kanye gets at it in poetry, and Kendrick got at it in literature, like just putting bar after bar after bar to make sure that he detailed and got more specific in terms of the general stuff that Kanye was talking about. It's like Black Skinhead, New Slaves. You can find similar elements of those songs in To Pimp a Butterfly. They're just expanded on into Pimp a Butterfly, where Kanye keeps them more macro, bird's eye. And Donald Glover now, 3 years after Kendrick did it, is now getting into the conversation in his own way and bringing an even more pointed look at it. But I would contend that Kanye was the one that opened up this discussion, and now Kanye's turned his vision on to the next thing. It's not this is the culture we're in, but how do we get away from this culture? What frees us to be empowered again rather than stuck in this? And I think we need it all, right? And we need Kanye to say it better than how he's been saying it. That's 100% for sure. But it doesn't, I don't know, I'm happy everybody's getting onto it and talking about it, but I don't think that this means that Glover is the artist that Kanye never was, right? So this article by Christopher Weingarten for Rolling Stone is actually really, really detailed and fascinating. Kanye West, Lift Yourself, Is It As Bad As You Think? And where there were tons of articles, especially by a friend of the show, Corbin Reef, who had a story on here for Uprocks. His article on, excuse me, I'm always burping when doing these. I'm so sorry to be so disgusting. But Corbin's article for Uprocks, when Lift Yourself and Ye versus the People came out, was just very dismissive. Like, this is Kanye just like being a troll and gloating. There's no value here. These aren't songs. This is ego, nothing but ego. and he really tore into them. So that was the general consent between all these think pieces. And all these sites just really took the most superficial and simplistic look at those songs that you could. But finally, Christopher, leave it to a Chris, you know, took the time to really dig in to the fact that scoopity whoop, poop, poopity scoop, those lyrics actually have a history in terms of scat. And he gets into this whole history of scat and the impact that scat has had on music, and the different artists that throughout over the course of decades have used nonsensical just sounds as part of their songs and made them popular. Like Bop. We let Bop become a top hit, and now this nostalgic song where people put it on and be like, Bop. Like, bop, bloop, bop, bop, ba, doo, wop. That was a hit song that everybody was excited about. Granted, it doesn't have the word poop in it, but it has the words and bop. Like, what the That's amazing. That's amazing. So, yeah, we have weird sounds being part of music for a long time. Mainstream, popular, beloved music. So Kanye doing it, he took it to the extreme, right? As Kanye tends to do, which is making it as absurd as possible. But still, it joins a canon of such work. And the fact that an artist like Kanye is taking it to that level, I still think is fascinating. I don't think it's a song that I really want to like put on as like, oh my goodness, I love this song. This is music. Like it's not that kind of song. But it's one I kind of want to put on and just be like, this is amazing that this exists. It's just like enjoying the absurdity of it rather than the radio beauty for it. Though even if I hear it on the radio today, could you imagine you're out at a bar or a club and they start playing that song? How pumped the entire bar will be? Like everybody will just be screaming out poop. It's amazing. Amazing. Okay. So this article, if you're the kind of music history nerd, like this has to be 1,000 words on scat, maybe 1,500 on scat and bop and poopity scoop. So good job, Christopher Weingarten, for actually taking the time to investigate. So our friends at The Most Unruly put together Kanye West performance art or shameless promotion. So it's a 14-minute video that doesn't get into the Spencer Wolf snow cone on Twitter performance art details in the same way, but instead looks at the history a little bit more of performance art and details the situation in the most unruly way possible, with a lot of focus on Marina Abramovic. So you get to find out more about what she was doing and Kanye and all that. And we do get Spencer Snowcone coming in here and talking about his theory and how that relates to everything. So it's a really good video that I recommend watching, and not this Grammarly ad. So check that out. Check that out. And I don't know if I talked about it in the last video, but one of the things I did a story yesterday with Spencer, which should come out Friday or Tuesday, and we were talking about everything. And actually, the guy that's a performance artist behind He Will Not Divide Us, the Shia LaBeouf performance artist or performance art that was about Trump, the guy behind that who worked with Shia had initially conceived it for Kanye and reached out to Spencer telling him that, and actually had a sit-down meeting with Kanye to pitch the idea of doing that performance art. And a few nights later was Sacramento, when Kanye first said that he loved and supported Trump. And that really feeds into the theory of performance art. But that guy also said that he thinks how Kanye's gone about it, and that he thinks it is Kanye thinking that he's doing performance art, but it's being done in a very irresponsible way. I didn't elaborate too much on that, but if I was going to hazard a guess, I think it would be that most of the time performance art is done in a very confined sort of space, right? Marina Abramovic did hers in museums, in rooms, in specific spots that had a time and a place. He Will Not Divide Us has its set spot. They kind of carve out a niche in the world and make it the world within which their performance art takes place. So it seems that there are certain boundaries that exist. And maybe that wasn't there with Andy Kaufman so much, but Andy Kaufman, being the character that he was still kind of contained to talk shows and contained to kind of his place in Hollywood. And it was before social media. It was before any of that. It's when we still thought wrestling was real, right? When wrestlers kept kayfabe? I don't know how to actually say the word, but kept the illusion up of their characters. Different world now. Like, wrestling doesn't do that at all. They make the clear distinction that this is our character in the ring and this is who we are outside of that. And you have to wonder, would Kaufman do something similar? But Kanye, if he is doing performance art, I think why this guy would be upset is the fact that Kanye has no limits to what he's doing. It's kind of the biggest stage possible, just American politics, Twitter, anywhere he goes, and just inciting the kind of conversation without any of the boundaries that you would typically expect a performance artist to have. Like who he's interacting with, when they're interacting with, which is the most Kanye thing that I think could be done with a performance art. My own kind of feeling on that, which I think the Talib article that I'm going to talk about, as I've been thinking about this more, I do think that there was a purpose and a performance art purpose to the Charlemagne the God interview coming out the same day that Kanye went to TMZ, that he wanted to show the two perceptions of one person, that in this very professional, one-on-one, intimate setting, Kanye comes off looking really good, really vulnerable, intelligent, calm, and you get one impression of him and insights into him. But then in the TMZ interview, he's all over the place, he's loud, he comes off crazed, and you get an entirely different perception and have a different opinion of that man. And there's something in that juxtaposition between the two happening on the same day that really creates a dialogue. I don't think the slavery sounds like a choice comment was supposed to be part of that. I think that was more him speaking off the cuff and trying to think of something that was going to blow minds, that went into his point that we're mental slaves. So he's trying to think of an example that fits, picks that one, it comes out how it comes out, and it kind of overshadows everything else that he's trying to do with that interview. And the result is whatever he was going for kind of crumbles. And after reading this, I think that, how do I want to phrase it? I guess I'll get to it after we go through what Talib says. So Talib Kweli is this amazing rapper, conscious rapper. He's never had the mainstream success of a Kanye West, despite being considered, I guess he's a rapper's rapper, right? His craft is immaculate. What he gets at is really thoughtful. He just doesn't always have the beats to put him on the charts. His album with Mos Def, Black Star, is one of my favorite albums that I've ever heard. And if you've never listened to it, please go listen to it after finishing this video. I mean, fuck what I'm going to say. Go listen to that album because it's really good. And to this day still has songs, like the last 5 songs on the album are incredible. So Talib started working with Kanye back in 2001. Kanye produced his song Get By. Kweli was the first one that brought Kanye on tour and got Kanye that experience. And so in a lot of ways is really responsible for Kanye's career going how it went, which is amazing. And what we get in this interview on Esquire by Matt Miller is everything that I've been wanting from an article discussing what's gone on the last 2 weeks with Kanye. Not the hyperbolic, dramatic articles that I've been complaining about in these videos, like the Ta-Nehisi Coates article, where it seems more about dramatizing for the posture of, look how angry I am, and like, this is wrong, rather than really digging into what happened, why it happened, why this is a problem, the impact of this, and this. That more just analytical, scientific, and that doesn't have to be unemotional, right? Those things, like emotions about it, can still be part of the conversation. And I haven't wanted articles defending Kanye either. Like, that's not what I've been hoping for in being critical of the other articles. I just want criticisms that I feel aren't hyperbolic or based on illogical arguments. Like, there was an article that came out today on Vulture where this guy said, like, maybe we've let Kanye lyrics slide for too long. And All Falls Down, he compares the woman, he says that the woman's just addicted to retail, where he frames his own lavish spending as trying to buy back her 40 acres. So he makes her look like this is now me recontextualizing what he said. It's the fact that it makes the woman look like she's just this helpless, addicted thing, where Kanye's own spending comes off as somebody like trying to do something empowering and something that's like for the culture. And that's not the line at all. It's not, I'm trying to buy back our 40 acres. It's, we're trying to buy back our 40 acres. Kanye shifts to the collective, even before that line, saying like, we are doing this, we are doing this, we have this problem, we have this problem, we're trying to do this. The we in that includes the girl from the first verse. He's not belittling her and making himself seem great. And it then also talks about how he always has these songs about exes where he makes the ex seem like awful or just sexualizes her in a gross way. And that's the same kind of things that Drake was being called out for. But it's like every time Kanye has a song about an ex, Kanye always comes off as the villain in the song, not to mention that the songs aren't Kanye talking about his exes, they're from the hyperbolic perspective of a fictional character that's inspired by Kanye's events. Again, it comes back to somebody that's looking at a Kanye song and thinking, like watching American History X and being like, Edward Norton is racist because his character said racist things. It's like Kanye on a lot of these tracks is just painting a character for the scene, for the movie that is the album. So it's just a fundamental misreading of Kanye's music and then using that as a means of showing that he's actually this horrible person and that his art isn't as good or meaningful as we thought. And that's so dumb to me. Like, dig into things that are problematic in the music, but don't misinterpret lines or misread lines or oversimplify lines just because it fits the current angry narrative that you have. So Kweli's not doing that at all, because Kweli knows Kanye, where none of these people writing the articles know Kanye or know enough about Kanye. And Kweli not only knows him, but has taken the time to know everything that's going on. He knows Ye versus the People. He knows all of Kanye's tweets. He knows things Kanye has said. He knows what's being said. He knows all the political players. It's amazing the depth of knowledge that he has and brings to the subject. And just reading through, you really do get the idea that Kanye wasn't is out of his depth politically. So if there is performance art going on, I don't think it's that Kanye actually is this political mastermind and knows everything about Trump, knows everything about the right and the alt-right and the left, and is just playing both sides masterfully. Based on what Talib says, it does seem that Kanye is just getting to know this stuff, and that seems to be backed up by what T.I. said after having gone and sat down with Kanye, through the explanations that we've seen John Legend giving Kanye, to where you think that John Legend, if he knew that Kanye was more informed, wouldn't be saying the things. He'd be tweeting him like, yo man, you know better, why are you saying that? Instead he's saying like, Kanye, let me share this information with you. So it does seem that this is a new topic for Kanye, and that while he does have a macro idea of what he's doing with the left and the right, if we're saying this is performance art, that the micro specifics of what he's saying within that might not be as educated as they should be for this undertaking. But maybe conversation and learning through trial and error is part of his artistic intent. But even then, there's criticism to be leveled at that, right? And again, this isn't about trying to defend everything that Kanye does. It's just wanting to have fair criticism for what he's done. So this article, I think, is something very, very necessary for that and towards that. And that people should be reading this. Not Coates's elaborate and dramatic rendering of what is going on with Kanye, but somebody that knows Kanye, understands the situation. And this is one of the things with what I was just saying. Like, Candice Owens is someone who has a really cult-like following on the right wing. I had never really heard of her until she came after me on Twitter in January. She was critical of things I was saying on Twitter. When Candice came after me and I dismissed her, I was attacked on Twitter by racist Candice Owens fans. I had death threats. I had people calling me the N-word. I had people calling me monkey. When Kanye said, I like how Candice Owens thinks, I texted him and explained to him who she was and how she comes after his friends. And his response to me was, you know I love Donald Trump. Which, ouch. Right? And that was the first thing when I read that. I was just like, oh. Like, if I got that from a friend after being like, yo, this person that you just shouted out has, like, said awful things to me, and they're just like, well, you know, I love the person that they love. Just be like, what's that mean about me? And that's what Talib says. That was a very disappointing and hurtful response. He's a grown man. He has a right to say that. What was disappointing and hurtful about it was that I didn't mention Donald Trump, but the fact he needed to express his love for Donald Trump but not express any love for me was hurtful. So when a few days later Ebro said, I had a conversation with Kanye, he said I love Trump, he had said the same thing to me. I was disappointed by that. I told him I was disappointed and he didn't respond, but then he posted on Twitter, find someone you disagree with and tell them that you love them. And I did that and he hit me back immediately. I thought that was hypocritical on his behalf, which, yeah, that was the first response that I got, was the same thing. Like, now Kanye responds to that, like, I'd still be kind of annoyed. But I realized that here's a young man who's really just looking for love. So as a friend, let me put my politics aside and be loving. And that's where the relationship has been since. And Talib has said that he's continued to tweet things or text things to Kanye every day, even if Kanye hasn't really been responding. We've seen Kanye share other texts that Kweli has sent him. So we know that the conversation at least is ongoing from that side. But it gets into a big thing about him saying that he always just wants to be liked. And that Kanye has always kind of had this drive to be liked and to get that kind of validation. And that's something that comes up in the Charlemagne interview, right? We see that there's a part of the vulnerability is just, why did they like that? Did they like this? Obama didn't like that I did this. Does he not? It seems constantly that the unspoken or rephrased topic is they didn't like me, or why don't they like me, or I'm glad they liked me. And, I think that's something that a lot of us think about and deal with and want to have happen. I'm an only child, I want to be liked. I've dealt with that myself. My best friend, David, would always call me an attention whore. And here I am filming videos where it's just me talking at the camera for 35 fucking minutes. You have to have a little bit of a attention whoreness in you to do this, and especially have like the shitty production quality and just have like the thing that I think people will like, that I'm talking to them with like no quality, no edits, and that this is it. And I'm really sorry about that. But I hope you enjoy the content. So I get it, but that doesn't mean that it justifies everything that Kanye has been saying and doing. But as Kweli gets into, it also means that Kanye is not coming at it from this negative place. He's somebody that wants to be liked, and that you can see that when people call him out, he's just trying to recover, and he's trying to make amends with everything. Like, whatever the performance art was trying to be, when he went to TMZ, when he got called out by Van Lathan, like, I think we saw Kanye go up and be like, I'm so sorry I hurt you, I'm sorry, want to hug him and talk with him. And he tries going back to the character that he's being. But you could see that his immediate thing wasn't like, I need to maintain character and call him out and like, make this a big deal. It was like, I need to apologize and make sure this person likes me. And just a counter opinion to the Ta-Nehisi Coates. Talib comments on it. I did read that, and I thought that what Ta-Nehisi wrote was very beautiful and poetic. I think he wrote that for us to feel better about how we feel about Kanye. Which, behind that, I read, it was indulgent. I don't think Kanye is going to gain anything from reading that. No. And that's the thing. It's something that people that are wanting to really, like, dig in on Kanye will read that and be like, yes, yes. Which, maybe I'm being overdramatic here, but it's almost like media hate porn in the fact that it really just disparages and dehumanizes and tears apart somebody in a way that's what the media does to so many celebrities. And it's something that we love seeing a celebrity crumble. It's something that gets talked about with the American fascination with celebrity, that the only thing we like more than a celebrity is watching a celebrity fall. We love the Icarus dynamic. And that's exactly what Ta-Nehisi wrote, was that kind of like media followed celebrity like crack that we love to read and consume and like get into, and are just like, oh my goodness, yes, like fuck that person, which maybe me swearing so much, I'm so sorry. I say that I'm more aware of it now because I tried I posted in one of the videos as an ad, right? Or like I promoted it, and it got, the promotion didn't go through because the video was labeled shocking content, and that was because I swore a couple times in the video, which is so sad to me. Like, I'm not egregiously just saying swear words, but shocking. This is shocking content for YouTube. Fucking hell. So he's in a position where he's gained so much power in his life that he doesn't have to be held to the same standards of accountability that the rest of us have to be. I want to see something that Kanye can hear and see, which that's what I've wanted. Something that's just like adding to the conversation about what Kanye did wrong and how to move forward in a way that's like a learning experience and not something that's just like a giant fuck you. Which, sure, I mean, there are people that want a giant fuck you because they were hurt, and I guess we need that kind of catharsis as well, but we also need the other side. That's something that's helpful, that contributes to steps forward, and not just says like, you fucked up, fuck you. But like, hey, you fucked up, this is why we're all hurt, and this is what we could be doing and should be doing. And like, yes, that'd be nice. Because it's not like Kanye did anything like physically violent or egregious, no murder, no like joining the KKK, though people are acting like he joined the KKK. While a lot of people feel like he's fallen off the edge, I still feel like he's on the precipice, because he does mean well, and we know that from 14 years of Kanye being in the light, that he's not somebody that like doesn't want to do well. He's somebody that does. And where was the performance art part of this? I've seen people holding out hope that this could be some sort of performance art thing. Yeah, I just don't think that holds him accountable for what he's doing. Yeah. People have mentioned Andy Kaufman and Joaquin Phoenix. See, Talib's on it. He gets it. He knows. He's... Listen to Black Star. Listen to Black Star. I don't think this is as well thought out. When you see him say he doesn't know enough to be a conservative, and when he's sharing his conversations, he's a sponge for information, and he's trying to take in information. I think he's getting information from very poor, misinformed sources. Yes. We're used to seeing Kanye be a leader, and right now he's following. Yeah. Which, you know, not to get too psychoanalytical here, but that could still be part of what we heard in the Charlemagne interview, where Kanye said that he had lost his confidence, but now he feels he has it back, right? But despite somebody saying like, oh yeah, I got over that, fine, it's over, it's done, actions often speak louder. And what Talib's saying, that right now he seems to be following, like instead of leading, he's the one kind of talking with Candice Owens. He's learning from this other person and kind of being the student rather than consuming, and then coming out as the master of knowledge. So I do wonder if part of that confidence issue is part of this. So when he first came back to Twitter, it was supposed to be about the music. When he said, I love Trump, to me, that was a private thing. I didn't go on Twitter to be like, Kanye loves Trump. Ebro, however, is a morning show personality. He has to compete with the Charlemagne interview. I don't think Kanye meant for that to come out. And since it did, he doubled down on it, and that distracted him from what his point was on Twitter. And does he have a social responsibility? He absolutely does, but if he doesn't know it, it doesn't help any of us. He's fighting to be Kanye. He's fighting to be free. He's fighting to not be attached to what people's idea of Black thought is. When you do that and you're not careful, it puts a target on the rest of us, because they weaponize you and they use you against the people you claim to love. And that's everything that I've wanted to hear in the criticisms. Not that Kanye's a false idol and he's adopted white privilege and he's leading down a path that's going to destroy him unless he can understand how much he means to everybody. Thank you, Coates. But that this is what the issue is. It's that what he's saying is being weaponized, and then examples of it. And while Kanye is fighting to be free, and there's something admirable about that, especially as Kanye frames it in the fact that, like, me being able to be myself and not worry about my fans, not worry about that, allows others to be themselves. Like, you can just do what you do and know that some people will agree with it, some people won't, but hopefully people understand who you are, that you have, like, okay intentions, and everything will be chill, everything will be good. That's probably too idealistic for how the world actually works. Kind of like in economics, thinking that an entirely unregulated free market is going to be amazing because the market will correct itself and competition will correct for any like disparities in systems. But that's not what happens, because companies game the system. They rig things in their favor, they monopolize, they take advantage, they politicize things, and what could have been a free market is no longer free. It's a rigged game. And that's why we need regulation, even though a lot of conservative economic people don't think regulation helps. It's necessary. Some, at least, is necessary when you have companies that are going to cheat. You need somebody then that's going to regulate and stop that cheating from happening and enforce those regulations so that cheating doesn't happen and you have the competition that would be part of an ideal system. So that's one of the things here. Like, what Kanye thinks could happen by him being himself and being able to be himself and what that means for everybody else is amazing, but people take advantage of that in the real world. So you can do that to a certain extent, but you can't do it in the unregulated 100% way that I think Kanye kind of wishes that he could. But to that end, I think we should be able to do it more than what we currently can. That there are currently too many regulations in that realm. And that there should be, like me being able to say fuck and that not be shocking content on YouTube. Like, in those little ways. But this part I loved. It's the fact, the examples I see, John Legend texts Kanye, then Kanye shares his texts. And the next day, the NRA trolled John Legend. The NRA can't be trolling John Legend. We can't be allowing that. The NRA is an organization that we should all stand up against as people of color, as compassionate people, as people against mass shootings. And I think that Kanye is not realizing that he's putting a target on John Legend's back. When he uplifts Candice Owens, and Candice Owens fans are calling me, the N-word and a monkey, he's putting a target on my back. When Trump goes to a room full of people and asks if there are any Hispanics here and he gets boos, then says, well, Kanye gets it, he's putting a target on Hispanics. When Trump is talking in front of the NRA and says, well, Kanye gets me, and Kanye is bringing all these black people to me, he's putting a target on their backs. Yeah, exactly that. So I just think that this is a really important essay that I wish, or interview, and that I wish that there was an essay that was getting into this, that somebody had taken this time to explain things in this way in a very nuanced, considered, and not dramatized fashion. I mean, we're talking about dozens of professional journalists at well-respected places that just aren't taking the time that Kweli took. And maybe that just goes to show that the one person who's commented on this in this elaborate way, that knows Kanye, that actually knows the subject that we're discussing, has the most grounded and informed response, because they care to, where so many people in the media don't fucking care about it. They may be fans of his music, but they don't care about the man. Or if they cared about the man, it doesn't seem that it was beyond the image that they had of him. And once that image cracks, they can't be bothered caring about him anymore. Which again, as a fan, is fine. But if you're going to be a journalist that's then writing articles about that thing, I think that there's more responsibility that they have to have as leaders of the conversation, as people that are shaping the topic and helping others figure out how they feel. If they're just over-dramatizing and being lazy with their responses, then that's going to make the conversation around it over-dramatized and lazy, which doesn't help any of us move forward. Or you then have people like me that are just like, no, that's not right. And I don't want to sound like I'm defending Kanye blindly from any and all criticism. It's just, I'm defending that criticism. Like this right there, like this problematic sentence, this problematic like logic of attacking him. Attack him for what's truthful, attack him for what's accurate, but don't make things up. Don't make it about something that it's not. Have compassion that you're accusing him of not having. And isn't that the big problem in the media, is just the lack of compassion? So please take the time to read this, and I think it'll help with the conversation. I don't think it's going... I don't think it makes Kanye innocent, right? And I don't think we need an article to do that, because Kanye with how he's been going about things. It deserves criticism. It deserves conversation, but it deserves that in a responsible and healthy way. And this is that. And I hope that by more of us reading this and sharing it and having these talking points in mind, that starts to help the conversation turn in a healthy way that lets us humanize both the subject matter and the subject, instead of just being the harsher part of This Is America, right? Like, there's some middle ground, actually, that should exist between the happy-go-lucky gospel portions of This Is America and the dark, gritty, like, scary sonic portion of This Is America. Like, ideally, there's that middle sound that's not the blindness and that's not the ugliness, but that's just something like human and positive. I hope we get there. But that's it. If you want to support the channel, you can keep watching videos. We're trying to reach the monetization points for YouTube. That's 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers. We're currently at 230 subscribers, which is awesome. Thank you to those of you who have subscribed. And we're at 622 watch hours in the calendar year. So that's really awesome too. I feel like we'll get there, hopefully sooner rather than later. So you can watch more videos. If you want to support us monetarily, we have a Patreon, which is patreon.com/Kanye podcast. Our current goal is to get up to $300 so we can consistently pay artists to produce shirts inspired by Kanye songs. We've made 2 so far, quality testing the first, which hopefully it should arrive this week. It's a runaway shirt, and we'll also have a Hold My Liquor shirt that'll hopefully be available next week. What else? You can listen to our podcast. The Wolves episode, as I said at the start of the show, just came out and is really good. It's also on YouTube, but that's Watching the Throne, a lyrical analysis of Kanye West, available anywhere where podcasts are available. We have 82 lyrical deconstructions, narrative and thematic. If you listen to them, you'll never have the same view of Kanye's discography again, guaranteed. And then you can just follow us on Twitter at Kanye Podcast. And that's probably the easiest way of supporting us. And then leaving iTunes reviews really helps. With a few positive reviews, we shoot up the iTunes charts, which were typically around 60 in the top 200 music podcasts. But the other day we got 1 negative review and fell off the charts, which is just crazy how... there's a word that starts with an F that I can't think of right now because it's 1:30 in the morning. Frenetic, the charts are. Frenetic. So thank you for watching, and until next time.